The United Nations says the world needs to prepare for more intense heat waves as countries across North America, Europe and Asia see record high temperatures. The UN's World Meteorological Organization has warned that the Northern Hemisphere heat wave is set to intensify. The grim outlook comes against the backdrop of heat stroke alerts in Japan and new high temperatures across southern Europe. The UN agency called heat waves amongst the deadliest natural disasters or hazards. Let's listen in to more of what the UN Extreme Heat Advisor had to say.
These are not your normal weather systems of the past. They have arrived as a consequence of climate change, and it will continue for some time. You have to reverse it. You have to do climate repair to change it. The growth in simultaneous heat waves around the Northern Hemisphere has increased sixfold since the 1980s. This trend shows no sign of decreasing. The repeated high nighttime temperatures are particularly dangerous for human health because the body is unable to recover from sustained heat. This leads to increased cases of heart attacks and death.
Greece has been especially hard hit by wildfires. The normal summertime dangers are being made worse by the excessive heat that's pushing through the 40-degree barrier. Firefighting services are now trying to fight the flames in several different regions while keeping residents and visitors at a safe distance.
Flames hopscotch from one treetop to another, carried by fast-moving winds. Firefighters are trying to do what they can, but they can't be everywhere. Some houses in Saronida are burning wild.
There are no firefighters, there's no helicopters, no planes. Some guys try to rescue a house, but it's impossible. The fire is too heavy, the wind is very heavy, very strong, so there's nothing that they can do.
Greek authorities are struggling with two major fires. One burning to the southeast of the capital, Athens, and the other to the west of it, near the resort city of Loutraki, where billowing smoke blanketed the area, forcing emergency crews to evacuate children by the hundreds at a summer camp. In Kalivia, people watched fires travel up a hill, taking their homes one by one.
We have the last house up on the mountain, and we'll stay up all night to see what happens and if a fire truck arrives.
Blazes also engulfed stables. Workers raced to get the horses out and transported them to safety. The country, along with Italy and Spain, has been gripped by a heat wave since last week, with temperatures reaching 44 degrees Celsius. The Greek Meteorological Service has warned that a second heat wave will hit the Mediterranean later this week, bringing with it more fires.
And let's go over to Daphne Talas, journalist on location near the wildfires outside Athens. Daphne, how bad is the situation today?
Well, actually, it's pretty bad. As you can see behind me, this is one of the fire fronts, the major ones that is currently still raging near Dervenoforia. It has expanded up until Mandra, which is the area behind me. You can see the flames perhaps on screen. So currently I've seen firefighting planes bringing water. Firefighters are operating all across this region. Yesterday, we've had 81 fires all across Greece. And today, we're still having high wind, and it's really difficult. But the firefighters are still continuing to operate all across these open fire fronts.
Is there enough help there? Because we're told things could get worse.
Yes, exactly. Also for tomorrow, Wednesday as well, there's still an increased risk, and there's still going to be high winds. When temperatures are already high and are expected to increase this week, we've had the EU, the European Union Civil Protection Mechanism, activated, and we've had 4 planes now that are sent from Italy and France in order to assist with the firefighting operations. But as the Greek meteorologists have said, from Thursday onwards, we're expecting an increased temperatures, another heat wave, with temperatures up to 41, 42 degrees, even more.
Daphne, if this is going to become the new normal, how are Greek authorities preparing or adapting to these changing weather conditions?
Well, for Greece, this is not actually new. We have heat waves every year, especially in July and August. We have fires every year as well. Now, what the authorities are doing is they are evacuating well ahead of time. So they're being proactively evacuating areas and regions that the fire is approaching, any villages, any residential areas. So this is one measure that we have seen changing the past few years. And also resources, there is a tendency and there's an effort to increase resources, but of course, many more resources are needed and efforts all throughout the year as well.
Okay, we'll have to leave it there. Journalist Daphne Tallis near Athens, thank you.
Thank you.
To the United States now, where the city of Phoenix is one of the many places in the Northern Hemisphere battling the extreme heat. Arizona's state capital has experienced a record of 18 straight days with temperatures over 43 degrees Celsius. The heat killed over 400 people in the wider county last year, with the city's homeless population some of those most at risk.
The streets of Phoenix, Arizona are sweltering, and few are suffering more than the city's homeless. For Christina Hill, this piece of flimsy tarpaulin is all that protects her from temperatures of almost 50 degrees Celsius.
Last year I had a heat stroke staying at the park during the day, and I don't really remember any of it. I still haven't come back, but I woke up in an ice bath at the hospital. So
come over to the tent.
The Salvation Army are doing all they can to help,
shampoo,
providing not just basics, but a reason to carry on.
Survival. If I didn't have them coming, I don't know what I would do. So, yeah, it's hard. Sorry.
Without this charitable assistance, many of the homeless fear what could happen.
Oh, it means a whole lot, like in the world, you know, like, because without water, we'll be, you know, like in the hospital right now for dehydration. And I thank the people for helping out a lot, because without them, we'll be like very sick, and like, I can't imagine.
The Salvation Army have been helping almost 500 people a day in the current heat wave, doing the most good for those who need it the most.
Some other climate-related news from around the world now. US climate envoy John Kerry says climate cooperation between the United States and China could redefine their strained ties. Kerry's visit to the country is aimed at reviving climate negotiations between the world's two largest polluters. Relations between Washington and Beijing have been mired in geopolitical disputes. A big typhoon has made landfall in China, forcing the evacuation of nearly 250,000 people. Talin is the fourth typhoon in the region this year. It hit the southern coastline late Monday night with winds of more than 130 kilometers an hour. Japan has issued heat stroke alerts in 32 out of the country's 47 prefectures, mainly in central and southwestern regions. Temperatures in many places, including Tokyo, have risen to nearly 40 degrees Celsius. Local media reports at least 60 people have been treated for heat stroke, most of them hospitalized.